The diplomatic row between Britain and Russia has deepened over the past 24 hours, with Prime Minister Theresa May promising more sanctions over the poisoning of former double agent Sergei Skripal. Since the UK directly blamed Moscow for the incident, its allies have lined up to back her claim. Here's a look at some of the evidence being touted which might be swaying their minds.
I'm afraid the evidence is overwhelming that it is Russia. And there's something, by the way, in the kind of smug, sarcastic response that we've heard from the Russians that, to me, betokens, that indicates their fundamental guilt.
France shares Britain's assessment that there is no other plausible explanation and reiterates its solidarity with its ally.
This is not an isolated incident. Russia failed to ensure Syria destroyed its chemical weapons program.
The attack in Salisbury has taken place against the backdrop of a reckless pattern of Russian behavior over many years.
Russia, the Salisbury poisoner. Everyone seems to have made up their minds, and the UK's Foreign Secretary was logical, inventive stereotypes.
In its blatant Russianness, the nerve agent sends a signal to all who may be thinking of dissent in the intensifying repression of Putin's Russia.
Novichok, the new noxious scare, a nerve agent with obvious Russianness. The chemical's even been featured in a TV spy thriller in a standoff between the UK agents and Russians. The show is marketed using the slogan, "Diplomacy is overrated."
For years, we'd heard this myth about something called Novichok, a nerve gas that was undetectable.
Новичок, все для меня. Дайте закончить.
Решение уже принято.
Вы заплатите за это.
You're Russian FSB.
Thank you for finding Dr. Markov for us again. We'll also be taking the Novichok for ourselves.
TV and cinema have made these secret services poisoning people plot an international feature. After all, even the most British of all agents, James Bond, has also found himself amid some toxin-driven storylines. So, are we having a case of blatant Bondness here? But this is, of course, all fiction. It didn't happen. In reality, of all the culprits with a tainted record, the one that stands out is the CIA. One of the key targets, Cuba's late Comandante, Fidel Castro. Among the hundreds of alleged assassination attempts were cigars laced with poison and a contaminated pen. So, could the Salisbury poisoning be blatant Americanness? One could stretch this logic beyond any reason and say, for example, the UK has been honing its skills in the death by chemicals business since Shakespeare's Macbeth. Busted. Blatant Englishness. The CIA, James Bond, Shakespeare. One thing all of my theories have in common is an insane edge of conspiracy. We're not taking them seriously, neither should anyone. But when it comes to Russia and proof, well, we've already heard the DNA argument in the election meddling scandal.
The historical practices of the Russians, who are typically almost genetically driven to co-opt, penetrate.
International laws being substituted for hashtags. Hashtag Russia did it. Hashtag highly likely.
Yeah, indeed, highly likely is the term Britain and its allies use in their joint statement to conclude Moscow's culpability for the poisoning. They also want Russia to tell the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons about the nerve agent, which was thought to have been used. International affairs commentator Marko Gasic says the UK also has data that should be disclosed.
Well, it almost doesn't matter whether they're Russian citizens or not. I mean, here we have an instance where someone, in this case Russia, is being accused. So someone being accused is not being told what the evidence is against them. In fact, they're being denied sight of the evidence that they could then question, investigate and contest. So in the British legal system, in any Western legal system, that would be viewed as utterly scandalous. But it seems that the British establishment thinks that that's the way to treat Russia, which clearly is illegal, as the ambassador mentioned. It's also immoral, and it also prevents a proper investigation, which may indeed be the point of making all the evidence opaque to outsiders.